Hey guys, okay, let's be honest. When we think about problems of celebrities, most of the time we think of things like they don't know how to combine their clothes anymore or what name they should give their new pet. However, as unattainable as our favorite star may seem, she's finally as human as any of us, and this is demonstrated by one of the most humane singers in the business. Of course, we're talking about Taylor Swift, who's not having a good time at all since the most important person in her existence had to start the always tough battle for survival. And just when it seemed that together they had overcome the difficult test, earlier this year we learned again that they had only overcome the first fight. But if you guys want to hear more about exactly what happened, you better subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications, cause I'm gonna tell you the whole story like right now. They say that out there, life doesn't put us through any major tests than those that we can overcome, but sometimes it seems that even the strongest people are not able to get through it. And just when Taylor Swift and her family were recovering after the huge setback that life had given them when they found out that their mother had breast cancer, fate came back with a huge hook to the liver. But before we talk about such sad things, why don't I tell you about the wonderful mother-daughter relationship the singer has with the woman who gave her life. That way, you guys can understand much better why Taylor has been devastated ever since. Scott and Andrea Swift, Taylor's parents, are without a doubt the most two important people not only in her life but also in her career. And since the adorable blonde was a little girl of 11, she literally had to go knocking on doors in Music Row, Nashville, looking for a chance to sign a record deal. And meanwhile, her mother Andrea and her brother were sitting outside in the car waiting for her to return with good news. However, that news never arrives, and the fact that an 11-year-old girl knew very well how to write songs was not enough for labels to take such a risk and a bet to invest and boost her career. But eventually, that day came when they returned to Pennsylvania, and Taylor thought that she had something to stand out amongst other wannabes who were trying to earn a place in the ever-challenging world of professional music. And for that reason, she started learning to play the guitar. Her parents were not so convinced at first because they thought their daughter's fingers were too small to play a 12-string guitar, but Taylor wasn't going to take no for an answer, and she began practicing for like 4 hours a day and up to 6 hours on the weekends. That's perseverance, you know? Despite all the calluses and cracks in the poor little fingers, Taylor never stopped playing. Come on, nothing but a few band-aids couldn't fix, you know? All that sacrifice and hard work paid off as the just 14-year-old girl joined the Sony ATV publishing roster of artists. It was then that the whole family moved to Hendersonville, as they would be closer to Nashville, and there was nothing Andrea wanted more than to protect her daughter. She didn't want Taylor to go to the same school as the children of the producers and presidents because if things didn't work out for her child, she would avoid her classmates making fun of her. Finally, Taylor's perseverance and efforts paid off when she signed with Big Machine Records. And during an interview with EW, Taylor talked about how at that time, because there were only 10 employees at the label, when they released their first single, Taylor and her mother had to help put the CDs into envelopes and send them to the radios. In fact, they had to sit on the floor while they did it because the almost newborn company didn't have any furniture. You see where I'm going with this, right? It's just that, tell me, who stands so proud and helps so selflessly if not a mother? Taylor's mother always did everything necessary to see her daughter happy, and nothing made Taylor happier than seeing that a song she wrote could potentially be successful. And I ask you all, guys, do you think there's anything more important to parents than seeing their children happy? Well, obviously, Taylor has never forgotten where she came from, and above all, thanks to whoever she is where she is. So for that reason, during a lot of interviews, she shows herself as a grateful daughter to her mother and always gives more than deserved credit to her. Although, of course, such a wonderful daughter was not raised by Mrs. Andrea alone, as her father Scott was always present in the development of Taylor's career. In fact, sometime later, he even bought 3% of her company. But that happened before the singer became an international star she is today. And yeah, even though it's really hard to do so, we have to talk about much sadder things. And even though she said she wouldn't do it again because it's so emotional and heartbreaking, just a few weeks ago, Taylor performed the song "Soon You'll Get Better," and that she wrote after her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. You may wonder why she played the song again when she said that she wouldn't do it again. Well, it turns out that she did it as part of what she called One World Together at Home, her way of letting her fans know that they are not alone in this pandemic, and that even she is capable of being strong when performing a piece that is so meaningful to her. That's what I call empathy, guys. For those who have not yet had the opportunity to hear the song, amidst the heartbreaking but at the same time emotional and hopeful words, Taylor sings that she did not tell her mom how scared she was, and acknowledges that she was so strong and positive in the face of such adverse and complicated news. In addition, the singer admits that since she learned about the terrible reality, she has had to pretend that nothing that is happening to them as a family is true. Otherwise, she could not have moved on. To top off the sharpness of the song, in one part, Taylor even reveals a deep fear that she feels at the thought of losing her mother forever. And I'll tell you guys something. I wish you never have to go through anything like this because it's a terrible thing, not only for the patient, but it's also so horrible and exhausting for the whole family. Obviously, that song has been the hardest to write in the singer's entire career. She said so herself during an event on YouTube Live just before the release of her new album. Her exact words were as follows. It was very difficult to write, and it was also a family decision whether to include it or not on the album. I think in general, songs are very difficult to write, but songs that involve you emotionally are very difficult to write and sing because they're true. We as a family decided to put it on the album, and it's something I'm very proud of. But it's very difficult. I just can't sing it. It just breaks me down emotionally to sing that song. The truth is that Taylor has always had a strong connection with fans, as she is one of the stars who has shown her human side with many of them by making quite considerable donations to various causes. Yes, for example, the fight against cancer, and she has even gone so far as to visit and pay for the treatment of some of them. It is precisely for this reason that the singer has received nothing but good wishes and excellent vibes from all of her followers since she and her family began the hard battle back in 2015. That was the year that Taylor shared with the world through a Tumblr post that her mom had been diagnosed with breast cancer. At that time, the singer wrote the following. As a Christmas present this year, I asked my mother to go to the doctor to be examined for any possible health problems, just to erase some of my concerns. She agreed and went for a checkup. The results came back, and I'm sad to inform you that my mother was diagnosed with cancer. We wanted to keep the details of her condition and treatment private, but she wanted you all to know. Unfortunately, just when it seemed that things had improved for the singer's mother, earlier this year, Taylor stated in an article for Elle magazine that her mother now faces a new challenge in life. And as it turns out, in January we learned that Mrs. Swift is now not only facing the ravages of breast cancer, but she also has to deal with a brain tumor. Oof, most unfortunate of all. According to Taylor's own words, the symptoms her mother is having to endure right now are nothing compared to what she had to endure before the tumor was detected. And look, I'm not saying that the previous symptoms and the chemotherapies to fight breast cancer haven't been painful enough already. I've had to learn to manage serious illness in my family. Both my parents have had cancer, and my mother is now fighting it again. It has taught me that there are real problems, and then there's everything else. My mother's cancer is a real problem. I used to be so anxious about the daily ups and downs, and now I devote all my worry, stress, and prayers to the real issues, and that is what Taylor wrote in her article. So there's no doubt that a child's love for a mother will always be the greatest thing there is, and perhaps only compared to the love that a mother feels for a child. And considering this close bond that has always existed between Taylor and her mom, we can only imagine the difficult and painful moments that the singer must be going through. We can only wish her a quick recovery, since hope is the last thing that should die in such adverse circumstances. Or what do you think, people? Did you know that Taylor Swift and her whole family were having such a hard time because of her mother's cancer? Have you heard the song that Taylor wrote to her mom? Well, if you like this video, please don't forget to leave a like and share it with your friends. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and check out all of our content. So see you guys next time.